going on, guys? Welcome back to United View and breaking news. Yes, you can see it on the screen right there. We have some breaking news. Owen, press the button, please.
Breaking news.
Yes, we have some breaking news, and that is Ruben Amorim to Manchester United to become the brand new Manchester United head coach. Here we go. It's not only been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano's, but it's been confirmed by his current employer, soon to be former employer, Sporting Lisbon. They have confirmed Manchester United want to pay the €10 million release clause. He is set to become the new man in charge of the first team for Manchester United. Let's read out some of the social media posts at the moment. INEOS moving very quickly indeed. So this kind of, the here we go, it must be said, comes from an official comunicado from Sporting Lisbon, in which they issue a statement confirming Manchester United's interest in Ruben Amorim and have offered to activate this €10 million release clause as well. It adds that, again, Manchester United have informed them of the €10 million release clause. It stops short saying of United that they've agreed to pay it. The belief is that negotiations are ongoing with regards to those release terms, but it's a here we go, certainly, from Fabrizio Romano. He has tweeted in the last couple of minutes saying Manchester United are set to pay the €10 million release exit clause for Ruben Amorim to become a new manager, the new manager of Manchester United. Here we go. Do I even have the here we go on here as well? I think I do. Ruben Amorim to Manchester United.
Here we go!
There you go. Italian. Sporting confirm a formal communication received from Manchester United for Amorim to be appointed. Amorim has already said yes to the Manchester United proposal and project. There had been talks earlier today, and it's something that Carve Solico, I think it was the Times that were first to actually put this out there. The suggestion is that there is a real strong possibility, it's not been ruled out whatsoever, that Ruben Amorim could be on the touchline at Old Trafford as soon as Sunday for the game against Chelsea. Now, the initial expectation was that, of course, he's not going to be in charge tomorrow for the Carabao Cup round of 16 game against Leicester, and chances are maybe a deal might have been agreed or confirmed by Sunday, might be in the stands or something like that. But the suggestion is possibly he could be in the dugout, in charge as quickly as Sunday to face off against Chelsea. Again, Carve saying there's a real chance, that's the quote there, a real chance that Ruben Amorim will be in charge of Manchester United against Chelsea as soon as Sunday. Now, we haven't got a confirmation from Manchester United just yet. This is coming from Sporting Lisbon. Again, an official communication from them saying that Manchester United have notified them of their intention to pay Ruben Amorim's $10 million release clause. Now, this comes from, I think it's something like the Portuguese Security Commission or something like that, where they've declared that basically this is what's going on. It's their financial regulator. There you go. Sporting have confirmed Manchester United have notified them of the intention to pay this release clause. They've officially confirmed to the CMVM, Portugal's financial regulator, that indeed that is the case. Now, Sporting's website, actually, as a bit of an update when it comes to all of this, has crashed with so many people trying to find this statement, trying to read it and I guess translate it as well. It's not a very long one or anything like that, it must be said. You've even got people beeping outside how excited they are as well. Florian Plettenberg has just tweeted in the last couple of minutes saying he's been told that all the final details about the transfer of Ruben Amorim to Manchester United will be clarified after the match this evening. Of course, Sporting Lisbon do play this evening as well, so that's in the backdrop of everything going on. Plettenberg says the transfer is expected to be fully completed and announced this week. Amorim said already yes to Manchester United, and Sporting want to give the green light. There'd also been reports today suggesting that this sort of three-person delegation from Manchester United had flown out to Portugal today, flown out to Lisbon today to really thrash out this deal. They've already had this verbal agreement with Amorim. They've already had the green light from him to become the new Manchester United head coach. It was these finer details to figure out. It's just a case of really to sort of wrap up, dot the I's, cross the T's, all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's a case of it's going to fall through or anything like that. At this point, it's just kind of some finer details, which are, there's a game tonight for Sporting. They got to get that out of the way first. On top of that, they are going to pay the release clause. That's fine. They then have discussions about, okay, are there any coaches you want to bring with you? What would be the makeup of your sort of backroom staff when you come in to become the Manchester United head coach? We've really just kind of shaken that up in the summer. We've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, we've got Rennie Harker there. What did their futures look like? And basically, how quickly can you start? How quickly do you want to start? Do you want to be in the dugout on Sunday? And I think a lot of people are going to be interested in that. I mean, Ari says it right there in the chat. Who's going to be watching Sporting tonight? Well, maybe people are. People are going to be on Sporting Watch this evening. As far as a sort of a reaction from it, or to it rather, first, I will say, actually, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe button right-hand corner. Do you know what it is, yeah? This, like, as my corner's pissing me off. INEOS, they move fast, right, don't they? They move very, very quickly. We've become accustomed. I was having a good old chin wag with my dad earlier today, and we were I was explaining to him everything that kind of happened yesterday, sort of saying that in the past, you kind of had become accustomed to United operating a certain way and at a certain pace, how they kind of operated. For instance, from my time doing this, the only other manager departure we've had is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a permanent one. And we kind of knew that was coming. It was like, okay, that's probably going to happen tomorrow over the next few days. And it's kind of like transfers, right? This is going to probably, it's coming. It's going to happen tomorrow or the next few days. You kind of prepare yourself. You kind of get ready and you go, right, and anytime now it's going to happen. Whereas with INEOS thus far, and it was the same with transfers over the summer, wasn't it? Of just, boom, it's done. Like yesterday, we're hearing rumours Eric might be sacked. He's been sacked. It's gone. Well, okay, that was quick. Oh, I wonder if they've got a replacement lined up. I wonder if they've got that. A few hours later, David Ornstein, boom, they're talking to Amorim. It's basically done. Well, that was quick. Well, things like that can drag out a little bit, can't they? We'll wait and see how that happens. 3:00 today. Well, 4:15. Oh yeah, so, Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, they're saying they're going to pay the release clause. Probably play a game tonight. Then we might get an announcement in a day or two. It's quick. It's quick, and it also does suggest, doesn't it, that these kind of things, they don't happen overnight. That's the only other thing. As much as it feels like it has happened overnight, it must be stressed that they don't happen overnight. Therefore, it would suggest that these talks, these conversations, they must have been going on for a while. At least, a week or so. At least maybe even longer than that. A couple of weeks or something like that. And it really does kind of reshape, doesn't it, the perspective of that meeting a couple of weeks ago during the first international break, doesn't it? We maybe, I guess, incorrectly assumed at the time that INEOS had kind of buried their heads into the sand. We're not doing anything. We're not going to do anything. We're going to wait and see how it goes, and we're just going to sort of, twiddle our thumbs, and nothing's really going to happen. The reality probably is that they spoke about Erik Ten Hag's future at that point, and they started drawing up succession plans. They started going, right, who can we get? Who can we get? How quickly can we get them? And I think once again, it does come across as a bit of a coup by INEOS in the sense that, previously the sort of discussion surrounding Ruben Amorim is that if he was going to move, it was going to be next summer. Nowadays, it's tough. Nowadays, it is difficult to get a manager mid-season, earlier on into the season. They like to have a pre-season. And yes, the release clause is there, but it doesn't mean he has to come or anything like that. You still have to sell him on the project. You still have to sell him on, all right, it's all gone to shit with Eric. Why would that not happen with me? And, Omar Barada doing what he does, whispering in the ear and convincing people. And he's managed to convince Ruben Amorim to come to Manchester United. And they've moved quickly. They've certainly, I think, seen what's been going on and said, what other fans, to be fair, have been saying as well, saying that this season can still be salvaged. It's still early days. There's still plenty of games to go. But if we do want to salvage the season, if we do want to try and get into the Champions League next season, whatever route they decide to take, whether it is top 4/5 or whether it is in the Europa League, it needs to be done quickly. It needs to be done now. And I think it's very, very exciting. I must be said, I have seen a little bit of doom and gloom over the last sort of 24 to 48 hours in the sense of, well, I guarantee you, because of these rubbish players, that Ruben Amorim will fail as well. And I think to myself when it comes to that, Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United, look, he came in. We all hoped he would succeed. To an extent, he did. He won 2 trophies. But ultimately, it didn't work out in the end. And I certainly don't want to begin. I don't know about you. I don't want to begin another manager / head coach's reign at Manchester United immediately going, well, he's going to fail in a couple of years anyway. You know, that's that. To me, I want to afford Ruben Amorim the same things that have been afforded to all the other managers, which is from the beginning, you give him a go and you hope it's going to work out. You know, you don't take any pride or happiness in that it hasn't worked out with another manager. You don't take any pride or happiness that it hasn't worked out with Erik Ten Hag or anyone at Manchester United. But I think there's a bit of confusion. I think there's a bit of misconception, rather, of because people are optimistic about, well, hopefully things will turn around. Confuse that with, see, Eric's in the mud, blah blah blah. It's not about that. It's not about that. Man United needed a change. It wasn't working, and hopefully Ruben Amorim can get it to work. That's not to say that immediately, one way or the other, you know where it's going to work, right? The people that are doom and gloom, he's just going to end up the same way as everyone else. Okay. But that's no different to people saying he's going to go win the league and he's going to be an immediate success. We don't know. We don't know. But what we do have to do, I think, is support until you can't anymore. And at the moment, we don't know. So I'm optimistic in the sense of I do think Man United needed a change. I'm optimistic in the sense of I think, once again, INEOS have moved very, very quickly and they've gone after a target that maybe previously people would have said would have been unattainable in the sense of mid-season. And would want to finish out his season with his current club. That's not been the case. And I think it's exciting. I think when it comes to a change of shape in formation, I look forward to that. It's not going to be an easy transition. It's not going to be sometimes a smooth transition. And sometimes, he's going to have to work with players that have been underperforming too. But ultimately, Manchester United, I felt, needed a change. They absolutely needed a change. And when we would have been discussing managers we could get in the past, Amorim's name probably wouldn't have come up purely because people would have said, well, he might be going to City at the end of the season, or he might be doing this, or he might be doing that. It'd be difficult to get now. And INEOS have managed to pull that off. So they deserve credit for that. Whether or not you're going to say they made a mistake in the summer, hindsight now suggests, oh yeah, they should have got rid of Erik Ten Hag in the summer, but I in the summer said he should have had another go at it. He had another go at it and it didn't work out. Hopefully with Ruben Amorim it does work out. What I just cannot wrap my head around at the moment is, once again, we're in this territory of point scoring and the guy hasn't even started yet. I tell you, I'll be here in 2.5 years time when it hasn't worked out. Cool. I thought we were Man United fans and we want to win. And that's the irony is with that too, by the way. The irony is that people were trying to project onto others recently that they didn't want their team to win. And they're saying we'll be back in 2.5 years when you fail, because that's their expectation or that's their want, because they'll be proved right in 2.5 years time. That is madness. That is absolute madness. So I'm excited. I'm excited because I think Manchester United needed a change. Super chat here from Red Baron says, when City were linked to Amorim, Sky said he was young and exciting. Now he's linked with Manchester United. He's inexperienced. Watch out for the journalists. Well, look, that's the other part of it, true, isn't it? You're right in that regard. The narrative, I'm sure, surrounding him will change, and it's going to be up to him. We kind of spoke about this morning as well, about how he's going to handle the media and how the media is going to perceive him, how well he's going to communicate with the media, which is something that Erik Ten Hag did struggle with. There's no doubt about that. He did struggle with how he communicated and he came across with the media, and it'll be interesting to see, as I mentioned, how he does manage with that. But I can see now, Night Earth says, it doesn't matter, he won't succeed with this fan base. Well, then why fucking bother? Let's not bother then. let's with this idea of he's going to fail anyway, let's just not bother hiring him. Let's just get relegated. Why bother? It's a very defeatist mentality, that, isn't it? Of, well, let's not try because we've tried before and it hasn't worked. So let's not. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that I'd be expecting Amorim to be coming in and be like, right, by the end of the season, he's going to have to be winning the Premier League or anything like that. It's to say that Manchester United needs something different. They need someone to come in and get more out of these players. Now, whether or not that group of players can be like Premier League competing, Probably not. A bunch of them are overrated and they ain't good enough. But they're better than their 14th. That is the fact. They are better than being in 14th, and they can do better than what than what they're doing at the moment. And I think that I spoke about this a lot recently. Sirens in the chat. That we can't be afraid to make decisions out of fear. And if our decision out of fear is, well, in 2.5 years' time we'll be here, then why would we bother? Genuinely, with that mindset, why would we bother? If we're going, well, in 2.5 years we'll just be back where we were, then you would say, actually, then fold the club. Why bother? If you know you're going to fail, you take risks, you make decisions. If you're a Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you invest into organizations, into teams, because you want to try and make them successful. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And it's the same with these players. And I know people are going to say, right, we're at the beginning of a cycle again. Yeah, we are. There's a new manager comes in. The expectation this season, I think, on him would still be somewhat high in the sense of there is still time, as I mentioned, to turn the season around. There is still time to climb the table. You're still in very early stages of the Europa League, so the expectation once again would still be to win it. Or go certainly to the latter stages and try and get into the top 4/top 5, depending on the positions where they are in what counts as qualifying for the Champions League. So it's not as if he's going to come in and if we stay 14th, he won't be under pressure, because of course he will. Because like is the case with any Manchester United manager, you're going to be judged on results and you're going to be judged on how you do in the league as well. But the big news right now is that indeed Amorim, here we go, he will be the next Manchester United head coach. No confirmation from Manchester United, anything like that yet, but Sporting Lisbon have confirmed the intention by United to pay his release clause, and it's a legal filing, as I mentioned, to the CMVM, which is the Portuguese Securities Market Commission, and a formal confirmation, according to Chris Wheeler, is expected soon. Again, whether that's from Sporting or whether that's from Manchester United, we'll wait and see. But we spoke earlier on this morning, didn't we? Talking about how a deal could come together today, and maybe the expectation would be that once this Sporting game finishes this evening, we might get confirmation then. Ben Jacobs has just tweeted saying Sporting were obligated to disclose Manchester United's approach and willingness to meet the €10 million clause as part of a business requirement ahead of issuing a retail bond. Amorim has already agreed to Manchester United, and the clubs are now finalising on their side with a realistic chance it's formal in time for Amorim to take charge against Chelsea. However, nothing is being rushed with that fixture in mind. Amorim is keen to exit Sporting respectively. We kind of spoke about this morning as well, about what it means for replacements and stuff like that at Sporting as well. There's talks about possibly his current assistant manager could continue to replace him at Sporting, something like that, which again is about the makeup of the coaching staff, what it would be at Manchester United, who he does bring with him too. Again, I'm excited. How many likes are we currently at the moment? We've currently got close to 1,000 people watching. We're at 265 likes. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Let's see if we can get it up to 500 likes. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. And again, this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier on. If you were here, is that here we go. The hype machine is in full effect. I hope the players try to get back to 8th position because the coach lacks inexperience. And if the season isn't turned around, you blame Ten Hag. I'm not making that up. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that over the last few hours or so, and I don't know where it stems from. I don't know if again it is sour grapes over an attachment to Erik Ten Hag or whatever, which I don't really understand, because as I've mentioned before, for me, it's not Player FC, it's not Manager FC, it's Manchester United FC. I would caution also as well, when it comes to Ruben Amorim, don't get attached to the manager, get attached to the club. Don't get attached to the players, get attached to the club. Because football is a results-based business. And I hope, like I hoped with Erik Ten Hag, that Ruben Amorim does well. I hope that he gets afforded the same things that Erik Ten Hag was afforded, which is at least 2 seasons, two and a bit seasons, money and backing. And I think now is the time too that whatever your opinion was when it came to Erik Ten Hag as well, it's over, it's gone. You can, piss and moan basically about it and say it was wrong, it was this, it was that, but life moves on and football moves on very, very quickly. And the job now is to support the new manager. Hopefully he hits the ground running. Hopefully, as I mentioned, he gets afforded the same things that Erik Ten Hag was afforded positively. And hopefully Manchester United can turn around this season. I think if we dwell too much on the past and we continue to remain divided in terms of these factions of, Ten Hag in and Ten Hag out, when it's a post-Ten Hag era, then we're fighting a battle for a war that no longer exists. And there's no use. There's no use in that whatsoever. Red Baron, another super chat, says, think fans of this channel and others should expect outlets like this to call out the hypocrisy and half-pedal truths by the larger media companies. Well, I think we largely do. I mean, but again, this was the other part of the Ten Hag era, wasn't it? I mean, this is the other part. Even as recently, I think of like a week ago or so, I remember I've said that so many times about. You could criticize Erik Ten Hag for many things. You don't have to make stuff up, And it's the same with Ruben Amorim. You could, coming in, there's things you could say you question about, but you don't need to make stuff up. And I've been accused in the past of going, you can't predict the future, because remember this, going, it's not going to go well. We're heading towards the Titanic. It's going to crash. He's going to get sacked. And it was, you can't predict the future. He's going to turn it around. See, you'll see. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. That's predicting the future. So at the moment, kind of what Flex was saying this morning, the hope would be that he comes in and he hits the ground running, and hopefully Manchester United start playing some better stuff and also start winning some football matches. And maybe that might not happen immediately straight away. A bit like with Erik Ten Hag. First couple of games he lost. And let's see what happens with Ruben Amorim as well. Louis van Gaal's first game he lost. We'll have to wait and see. But I think what we have to be really careful about, really careful about, is just this immediate writing off of just no, it won't work because we're just in a bit of a divisive time at the moment. I think this, in my opinion, it's a positive move, and I think it's a quick move by INEOS as well, and hopefully, again, hopefully it works. Hopefully it works out. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. That's football. That's life. That's how it goes. As far as having concerns about if he's going to be able to implement his style of play with this current set of players, this current group of players. Absolutely, it's a concern. Of course it is, because we've seen other managers try and fail, but we've also seen other managers come in and fail with players that are no longer here, so it's not just about this group of players. It's about, there have been several managers post Sir Alex Ferguson where it hasn't worked out. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago. The person that does succeed in taking Manchester United to the top and winning a Premier League, it might be someone we didn't expect. You never know. He might be in a couple of years' time. Ruben Amorim's got Manchester United challenging for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, and we'll go, I didn't expect that. Or he might end up in the same fate as everyone else. We don't know. And it might be several more managers until we get to that point. But as of right now, all we can do is, again, support and see what happens moving forward. Flex kind of touched on it this morning, going, maybe you don't want to get too carried away. You want to see something on the pitch first. Fair enough. That's fair. And now it's going to be interesting to see how INEOS act, because they've got their structure how they want it to as well. So yeah, I personally myself, and maybe this goes back to just how you view things, I don't see this as an overly negative move by Manchester United. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are still now focused on, the negative of it not working out for Erik Ten Hag, which is unfortunate, because everyone when he came in wanted it to work out. But it's football. Look how quickly we've gone a new coach. Things move on quickly. So I think us as fans, we have to do the same. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind, aren't you? Got to move on, embrace the new coach, embrace that hopefully things will work out, and we'll see how things go. There's no point now, dwelling on the past or dwelling on things that happened or didn't happen, because you can't do anything about them at this point, right? Can't do anything about it. What else we got here? There's a lot of stuff breaking in the on social media at the moment. So once again, Laurie Whitwell confirming that Sporting Lisbon have announced the Manchester United's willingness to meet this €10 million release clause on Ruben Amorim. If you are just joining us, Sporting Lisbon to a Portuguese financial regulator have confirmed Manchester United are willing to meet this €10 million release clause for Ruben Amorim. We've got a here we go from Fabrizio Romano as well. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail is saying that a formal confirmation of Ruben Amorim to Manchester United is expected soon. According to outlets based in Portugal, Omar Barada, the Manchester United CEO, and Dan Ashworth, the Manchester United sporting director, are currently in Lisbon for Ruben Amorim. Those talks have been ongoing today. Of course, Sporting do play tonight, so this could be a situation where once the Sporting game is finished this evening, things get announced, but it's happening at this point. And the suggestion is that it cannot be ruled out at this point that Ruben Amorim could be in the dugout as soon as Sunday for Manchester United's Premier League clash against Chelsea. So there are still lots of details we don't know at the moment. Manchester United are still radio silent. And frankly, the new version of Manchester United that we have seen over the last, 9 months is until they want to say something, you won't know. You won't know. Man United will release a statement confirming everything. That'll be it. So we don't know finer details, contracts, salary. There has been talk that he possibly will have a significant salary increase, as you would expect, becoming the Manchester United manager. Don't know how long his contract will be or anything like that. Of course, also, when it comes to getting him possibly in charge for Sunday's game against Chelsea, there's the administrative side to it as well, which is in this post-Brexit world, getting your work permits takes a bit longer than it would have been previously. But Manchester United will have specific people for that. But that has delayed things, of course, in the past, hasn't it? So we wait on getting those more official confirmations. I mean, that thing from Sporting wasn't like a public statement. It was more, again, their disclosure to that financial regulator. I think people are expecting a formal statement from Sporting, but again, that would probably, one would think, come out of that would probably come out of after the game this evening. But the news is that this release clause, the Times are now saying it has been triggered. Previously, there was a bit of speculation or conflict in reporting saying about whether it was an intention to trigger it or it has been triggered, but United seemingly have got their man as well. Am I caught up with super chats? I think I am. Let's see what people in the chat are saying here at the moment as well. V says, I was hoping for Nagelsmann, but that was unlikely to happen. But surely Amorim was wanted by several big clubs for the right reasons. I'm excited. Fat Thor says, will Amorim be allowed to bring his coaching team, or must he work with the existing setup, which won't be easy for him to deploy his philosophy? Well, I think that's what they're discussing now. The suggestion is, again, that's what discussions are kind of centered on at the moment of when does he officially end at Sporting? Who is he taking with him? There could be a possibility that his assistant takes over at Sporting. What happens to Ruud van Nistelrooy? What happens to René Harker? What happens to other members of the backroom staff? Which, to be honest, is normal for these kind of discussions when a new manager comes in. You remember with Erik Ten Hag when he was coming, it was like, all right, who's he going to take with him from Ajax? He brought in Mitchell van der Gaag. At one point there was discussions that van der Gaag was going to become the next Ajax head coach, etc. So those things can sometimes take a bit of time. Francium says, things didn't work out with Erik Ten Hag. We had to change. Amorim is a good candidate from the current pool of managers. Simple. What else are people saying at the moment? Alcap says, I'm not convinced by Amorim, but I really hope it works out. All Elite says, just coming in now, 25 minutes behind, but damn, INEOS don't mess around. Very happy with this appointment. He was coveted by top clubs, so he's got pedigree. Obviously, nothing is a given, but I like he. So All Elite likes that as well. yeah, so again, lots of people in the chat. Riri, big up. She's in the chat, says, let's bring the likes up for this. Here we go. Indeed, she's right. We've got over 1,000 people watching. We're currently at close to 400 likes. Let's see if we can get it for 500 for another emergency live stream. I feel like I'm back in transfer season. Remember transfer season? Couldn't get any sleep. Couldn't get anything done in the day. It was mad. Super chat here says, I want Luke Shaw's life, taking a 2-year sick day, getting paychecks and changing bosses. Well, yes, of course it was quite actually surreal today, honestly. Seeing Erik Ten Hag's last press conference, wasn't it? It was initially we thought it wasn't going to be released, and then it was Beanie Man Sports released it. To be honest, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where when sometimes sort of mystery and intrigue, things get kind of built up, sort of fabled, this song that was never released, or this film that was never released. Remember there was a story last year, I think it was a Batgirl film, and it got scrapped by Warner Brothers, and it's kind of taken a life of its own, where it's like, oh, it's this mythical film now, and you go, actually, it was probably scrapped because it was probably shit, and it's probably rubbish. And it was kind of a bit like that watching Erik Ten Hag's last press conference today, that we got told it wasn't going to be released, and then Beanie Man Sports did release it. It's like 4 minutes long, and to be honest, it's like any other Erik Ten Hag press conference where he just talks about injuries, trophies, talks about trophies to the end, and he said in it about Luke Shaw that Shaw, I guess in typical Eric fashion, on his way out. You could call it a setback. We're not really calling it a setback. It's a setback. He's not coming back for ages, and we thought he was going to be back September, October, now into November. Luke Shaw needs to move on. I said this is no new news. I said this in the summer. If you were watching United View in the summer, before the summer, I was like, we need a new left back. We need to sign a new left back. We need to get rid of Luke Shaw. It's done. And so I'm not surprised in the slightest. In the slightest that Luke Shaw is had another setback. Terrell Malash is going to be back before him. So regardless, January now, unfortunately, when it comes to transfer business, I thought we were going to participate, but with letting Eric go, 17 million quid, bringing Ruben Amorim in, 8.3 million quid. You're looking at about 25 million pounds. That January transfer window might have just evaporated a little bit. So. Yeah, we might not. We might be looking at emergency loans, something along those lines. I don't even know if we'd have any money to bring back Alvaro Fernandez. Maybe if we sell players in January, I guess that's a possibility. There are stories today about them trying to flog Anthony, whether or not we get any takers, but need a left back, and particularly when you're talking about this formation with Amorim, the 3-4-3, or however you want to cut the numbers up. You're going to have, an insistence on wing backs, aren't you? So we're going to need them. We're going to need them. So yeah, it's pretty wild. A couple other super chats here. Pav says, what could our lineup be on Sunday? 3-4-3 formation. Well, if he does come in by then, and you're going to have to work a bit of a timeline here, aren't you? Let's say it gets announced tomorrow. How quickly can they get a work permit? It might be legitimately as quickly as if he were hypothetically in the dugout on Sunday, he might have one training session on a Friday or something. Now, does he feel confident enough to play that 3-4-3 like that? Do you have, conversations with, a Ruud van Nistelrooy? I suppose if it's subject to work permit and stuff like that, I suppose you could pick up the phone and say to Ruud van Nistelrooy, hey, do this shape in training. This is what we're going to be doing at the weekend. Maybe. So as far as what that lineup could be, we're looking at Onana in goal, a back three of Martinez, De Ligt. Maybe it's Johnny Evans, considering our centre-back options. Maybe it's Victor Lindelof. Wing backs, once again, would probably be Dallo, and I don't know what the situation is with Mazraoui at the moment. He did come off, didn't he? So whether that's Harry Amass gets a go against Chelsea at home. That's a big call, isn't it? Midfield, Ugarte. I'd be stunned if Ugarte didn't start. But then at the same time, we said that about people like Donny van der Beek under Eric, right? If it's ever going to work out, it will be under his guy. You never know. But you would think Ugarte would be in midfield with Casemiro or with Eriksen. Then who would he play in? But probably Højlund up front. In behind, does he play Bruno and Rashford? Does he play Bruno and Xerxes? It would be interesting because you would think there will be sacrifices. So who will be sacrificed? Red Baron says, say Amorim 3 times quickly. Amorim. Troy Superstar says, we support differently. I only support United if they're winners. I don't support losers of any kind. 100% behind Amorim. I'm looking to a Premier League title or Champions League games in a year or two, or we need a rinse and repeat. Well, I would say, Troy, he is not going to win the Premier League this season, or probably even next season. And that's the thing with Erik Ten Hag too, that it's not as if it was like, Erik Ten Hag, he should be winning the Premier League this season or next season. And that wasn't the expectation going into the season as well. It was, what the feeling was, is there progression? Are we moving forward? Can we see something to hold on to? Can we go, right, we are moving up. We are looking more stable. Are we doing that? So that would be the thing with Amorim. And I would say I'm 100% behind Amorim until he loses, then I'm not 100% behind him. You got to be, that doesn't really work like that. I mean, I'm with you in the sense of you can support it until you can't support it anymore. But by the way, when Ruben Amorim loses a game, which he will, the immediate response can't be, get rid straight away. Well, again, you have to be afforded the same things that other people were afforded as well. So, that's the latest as of right now. The move is getting close. We have a here we go. It's been suggested as well by reports in Portugal, how much you believe these or not, saying that the new Man City director of football, Hugo Viana, of course works with Ruben Amorim, wanted to take Amorim to Manchester City in 2026, but Amorim won't wait. I did see Manchester City clearly, by the way, briefing journalists today to try and suggest Amorim, he was never really under consideration for Manchester City. He wasn't. All right, cool. Cool. Remember, when we signed Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm not to say that that it worked out when he came back, but you remember when we signed him, it was like, and then immediately it came out, no, we weren't interested. Well, you were. You were. There's nothing wrong with it. You were. So, and Amorim was definitely on a list of if Pep does go, I don't think he will, then that's someone they would look at. Naturally, they would. They've got a director of football in there. And as you see, a lot now in football is they tend to move in pairs, don't they? Maybe not exactly at the same time, but we had Pep and Cheeky Bergenstein. That's why you got Unai Emery and his guy at Aston Villa. They kind of go around with each other because they've worked together and it works well. Troy Superstar also says, I maintain my strong belief that with 3 or 4 players, this team can win the Premier League. I don't have a loser mindset. Your opinion is your own. Allow me to have my own. When did I say your opinion was wrong? I did not say your opinion was wrong. That's the other part. I think I am really talking into the void here, aren't I? But that the sort of civility about difference of opinion is kind of mad. I've seen in just the last 24 hours alone, you can't basically, if you've got a contrasting opinion, don't come on the internet, which is again crazy. If you go through life just hoping to find people that are going to share the same opinion for you, then you're going to miss out on a lot. It's okay for people to have different opinions. That's completely fine. And like I said, for even throughout all of this, I myself have learned about that. People are going to have their opinions. People are going to have their opinions on what you think when you don't think it. And you've just kind of got to accept that. You can't change their minds. But what I suppose you can't do is say, that you're not allowed to have that. Or you're not allowed to have that thought. You're not allowed to have that opinion. Or that's not how you support Manchester United. The real way of phrasing that is, that's not how you think you should support Manchester United. But there's no defined rule book, is there? There's no, because once we go down that route, then we start excluding people from being Manchester United fans, which is crazy. Because regardless of who you are, where you're from, what your background is, what your viewpoints are on football, you're allowed to be a Manchester United fan. We're not in the position of saying you can't because you don't go to you live in whatever country or you live thousands of miles away, or you only just watch on television or anything like that, or you believe that this manager is not the right one, or that one's not the right one, or you like this player and you don't like that player, that's football opinion, isn't it? That's football fandom. Everyone's entitled to that. Nothing wrong with it. So hopefully, he says, but hopefully now is the time to look forward to the future. Hopefully now is the time to be positive and move on and hopefully salvage the season, right? Salvage the season and do well. And Troy ends by saying, "I'm a Glory supporter. Don't do sorry stories." Well, Troy's, I guess, I'm not sure, you're not doing yourself any favors, by the way. It's whatever. Okay. But yes, shameless. We're just under 500 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. A reminder, you can see it right there. Flex and KG show is coming up this evening. I think it'll probably be coming up at 7 p.m, not 6, as it says there. 7 p.m. live. Flex and KG discussing all of the news about what's going on today. You never know; they could be going live with a hit. Well, not here we go. That's what we've got here. An actual confirmation, something like that, right? That's maybe what we could. That's maybe what they'll be going live with. So if you haven't already, you can join us then, and subscribe now. Click the notification bell, because as you've seen the last couple of days, we're just going live when stuff's happening. Stuff's happening so randomly and so quickly that anything is possible. I was saying this in the summer. The mantra's back. Anything's possible. Anything can happen. And it feels like it, certainly at the moment with Manchester United as well. And of course tomorrow we've got Rude Ball, don't we? We've got Rude Ball. And actually, what I will say before I finish is I hope tomorrow, that I think we'll win tomorrow. Let's say we win 4-0, 5-0. You know, like when Ollie first came in, we beat Cardiff 5-0, I think it was. What I think is a really lazy analogy to be like, see, look, they scored tonight, they couldn't do it for Eric. These players have done this, and it's like, are we not necessarily thinking that might just be because, a bit sort of different instructions might have been there, or there might have been, a bit better man management might have got more out of a group of players. Just because someone else comes in and gets more out of a group of players doesn't necessarily mean that those players were like down in tools and just completely not trying. Like, again, it doesn't necessarily always totally work like that. It's the same way, as Flex points out, Unai Emery comes in at Aston Villa, and with Steven Gerrard's, sirens in the chat, with Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa then finishes 7th. Sometimes certain managers, certain coaches get more out of players than others. That's just how it is. So hopefully we get some wins. Hopefully there can be a bit of positivity. Jack says, Owen, that's exactly what people are going to do. The same way if we lose or draw. See, you should have kept Eric Ten Hag. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, like I said, hopefully it's now just forward facing. You know what I mean? Hopefully it's now just forward facing, and hopefully that's just how it is. V says, I don't know. Rude was already there before Eric Ten Hag was sacked. Wouldn't it be strange if the player suddenly turned up? No, I mean Michael Carrick was unbeaten as the Man United interim manager after Ollie was sacked. And what did he get? He got a win against Arsenal, a draw against Chelsea away, and won the Champions League against Villarreal. Sometimes it just happens, You create a sort of collective us against them kind of. I'm only going to be here for a game or two. Go out there, give it your best. I'm not going to put all of these instructions on you and, see what happens. Sometimes that happens as well. So there wouldn't be, it's not always this grand conspiracy, is it? Sometimes they can be unified, and then sometimes it might be exactly the same, right? It might be, but that's how it is. Ninth Earth says, what has Unai won? Just the most Europa Leagues, isn't it? I think that's the record he's got. And he's got Aston Villa in the Champions League for the first time since they won it in like the 80s. I think, to be fair, he's not a bad record he's got at the moment, is it? Anyway, too much internet for me today. I'm out of here. Flex and KG will be back at 7 p.m. Have a good one, guys. Peace.